So as you guys can see by the title of the video, this one is the Layne Staley era versus the William DuVall era. So I'll just get right to it. The winner there, that's going to be the Layne Staley era. That's my opinion and the opinion of most Alice in Chains fans, I would imagine. So that's the simple question with the simple answer. However, with that being said, there is a lot more stuff to look at here. So let's go do it. Now, Layne Staley's era, that is the original era of Alice in Chains. That is Alice in Chains, right? The facelifts, the dirts, the jar of flies, sap, the unplugged record. You can't touch that. Nothing can touch that. But as I say, we're not here to find out which era of Alice in Chains is better, the original era or this new era. We're going with the original era with Layne, right? That's pretty clear. But what I do want to bring up as we look at the 3 studio albums that Alice in Chains made originally with Facelift, Dirt, and their 95 self-titled album, and then the 3 studio albums that the new era of Alice in Chains has released to date. Yeah, I know Alice in Chains did a ton more albums than just these 3 with Layne. We've got Sap, Jar of Flies, Unplugged, etc. But we're just looking at these studio albums here. The original formation of Alice in Chains, they only did 3 studio albums. And as I release this video, the William DuVall era of Chains has also done 3. And that is Black Gives Way to Blue, The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here, and Rainier Fog. As I say, I'm not here to compare these albums and say which ones are the best. I think those 3 studio albums that they did with Layne are the 3 superior albums. But I just want to say that the 3 albums that Alice in Chains has released with William DuVall, they're pretty damn good too. In fact, there are some pretty damn amazing songs on all 3 of those albums. 2009's Black Gives Way to Blue, the first record they did without Layne, that has some really cool songs on there. Is William DuVall Layne Staley? No. He's himself, and he sings as himself. But in saying that, you can definitely hear Layne Staley's influence on his voice. Staley and Cantrell had amazing dual vocals going on. Their 2 voices just fitted together so perfectly. It was a 100% match. And William DuVall and Jerry Cantrell, their voices also blend together well. Not saying they blend together like Layne and Jerry's, because they don't. But DuVall and Cantrell, their voices blend together quite well too. And that all comes together for a very strong new Alice in Chains sound. Now, something I want to say here too is fans of the Layne Staley era of the band, if they aren't into this new version of the band with DuVall in it, I totally get that. Believe me, I get that. Some people will even say they don't see it as Alice in Chains at all, and they shouldn't have continued on without Layne. And I get that, I get all that, understand that completely. But for me personally, I'm going to stick with what I originally said. There are some absolute kick-ass songs on these 3 new Alice in Chains records. I mean, the first album they did, Black Gives Way to Blue, there are so many awesome songs on there. The first couple of tracks, All Secrets Known, Check My Brain, Last of My Kind, Your Decision. That's just an example. So many cool parts in those songs. It's like a new, revamped Alice in Chains in a totally new era of music. No, it's not the 90s anymore, and they have found a way to write some awesome new music. And also on this album, check out Lesson Learned, Take Her Out, and the final track, that is Black Gives Way to Blue. That is a song that they wrote about Layne Staley and for Layne Staley. An amazing song. This first album, Black Gives Way to Blue, would be the strongest out of the 3 new ones for Alice in Chains, in my opinion. However, that is taking nothing away from The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here. Again, some very strong songs on there as well. In fact, it contains a track that I would recommend any fan of hard rock music to go check out, whether you're a fan of Alice in Chains or not, just of any good hard rock music. Check out the song Stone if you haven't before, and the music video that's on YouTube. That's one of my favorite Alice in Chains songs, actually. The riffage on that track, just awesome. Other tracks like Pretty Done, Scalpel, and Voices, just to name a few, are awesome tracks as well. And you have Rainier Fog as well, which, in my opinion, probably wasn't quite as strong as those first two albums they released, but still has some good songs on there too. And the cool thing is, well, it's actually not a completely different band. You've still got the core of the band there with Cantrell, Mike Inez, and Sean Kinney. Kinney and Cantrell, of course, founding members, and Inez joined the band back in '93, so I mean, it still is Alice in Chains, right? So that's the cool thing. It's not just Jerry Cantrell and a whole bunch of random people. I mean, you still got the core of the band right there. But you don't have Layne, and that is one massive cog that is missing. We all know that. What Layne brought to the band, you cannot put into words. I mean, he's essentially the front man for the band, right? But I say good on them for giving it another go. Jerry Cantrell really steps up on this new Alice in Chains material, and he does a lot more singing here. But there is something else here I want to bring up too, and that is I can totally see Layne singing on these new Alice in Chains songs and performing on this new Alice in Chains material, and how awesome he would sound singing some of these new Alice in Chains songs. I think it really would have gone off good if Layne had have been able to stay on top of things and control his demons, and had have too been able to remain healthy. It's just such a massive tragedy what happened there, right? But yeah, if Layne had have lived having him sing on these new Alice in Chains songs, I mean, let's take a look at this. Now, for copyright reasons, of course, I cannot play any of the actual songs. Believe me, I wish I could, and I wish that was cool, but you can't do that. So you guys would just go have to check out the songs for yourself to know what I'm talking about here. First of all, I think Layne would have sounded just fine on all of these new Alice in Chains songs. I can just totally hear him performing on these songs. But I'll just go to the very first track from Black Gives Way to Blue, for example, All Secrets Known. Can totally hear Layne on that song, singing with Jerry, doing some awesome backing vocal stuff in there. When the part hits, there's no going back to the dreams we started from. Can just so hear Layne singing on that track. Again, you have to actually listen to it to know what I'm talking about, but Layne with his vocal style, just like they did on the songs Grind and Heaven Beside You, just as an example. But as I say, Jerry does sing a lot of this new Alice in Chains material, but if Layne was there, he probably would have been the one singing it, the lead vocals anyway. And I'll mention that song again from The Devil Put Dinosaurs here, that track Stone. For those of you who know that song, I mean, how awesome would it have been to have Layne sing on a track like that? My main point here is that it just so would have worked, and I believe Layne would have sounded awesome on these new tracks. This is still Alice in Chains, guys. It's still hard and heavy rock. The music is still there. The only one and the only thing that isn't there actually is Layne. But music-wise, this is still Alice in Chains. The structures are still there in the songs. The Alice in Chains formula that they have used in the past, that is still there. They have not gone away. They have not changed completely at all. As I say, it's still hard and heavy Alice in Chains rock. Yeah, it's different. It's a bit newer. It's not the 90s anymore. I just think it's such a pity that Layne wasn't around to sing on these new tracks, that's all. And I want to also add that William DuVall, for standing up and taking on this role of the new lead singer, taking over from Layne Staley. I mean, you're on a hiding to nothing, right? I mean, you're going to get so much backlash, and he has. But personally, I think he's done pretty well. No, he's not Layne Staley. He's not trying to be Layne Staley. There is only one Layne Staley, right?
You know, William was willing to take on that challenge, and we never looked at it as a part of somebody as replaceable, because Layne Staley is not replaceable, you know, and Mike Starr's not replaceable. Their period of time with us in the band on those records is indelible and completely unique. You know, when Mike joined the band and when William joined the band, those were new eras, and they were important additions and as equally important. And so trying to celebrate all of that stuff and make it work. I think we've just done things the same way that we've always done them, whatever feels right. And it felt right at the time. We all talked to each other and said, hey, do you want to take this on? William had a huge challenge. Obviously, he was going to take a lot of a little from some people up front, right? And you did, and you did,
still do,
and us too. No Layne, no chains, shit like that. It's like, this is our band.
Is that the chant? I didn't know that was the chant.
Oh, that's one of them. That's one of them.
It's just like the troll shit. But
okay.
This is our band. This is our music. These are our friends, and we're lucky enough to be able to have worked through those challenges and continue to move forward and to create a new chapter for this band. And we've created 3 of them, 3 new big chapters in this book that is Alice in Chains.
It's just a cool way for the band to continue. But I think for DuVall to come in and try and be the new frontman for Alice in Chains after Layne Staley has died, and doing such a good job that he has done, I think that's a pretty gutsy and ballsy move, and good on him. I think he's done pretty well. But when you lose someone like Layne, really, it's just so hard for some fans just to jump upon a new band when they get a new frontman to try to replace him, and I totally get that. I get how some fans will just never listen to this new Alice in Chains material. That's cool. But for me, I'm glad I've checked it out, and there's some really awesome standout songs in there, in my opinion. I think it's some really good stuff. Can it be compared to the Layne era of Alice in Chains? No, it can't. That was totally different. But there are some really cool similarities in how the band have continued on. As I say, the core of the band is still there, and that hard rock is still there too, so that's really good to see. But as for comparing the 2 eras and saying which one is best, there is no comparison. They're totally different. The Layne era and everything they did there, obviously, that is number 1. You cannot beat that. But it's just cool to see that the band has continued on and just didn't die. You've got Kenny, Inez, and Cantrell. They're still there. So good on them for keeping on going, and some of the new material, it just speaks for itself. It's just really awesome songs. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. You'll all have your own thoughts and opinions on this subject, no doubt. So be sure to put those down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this one, be sure to leave us a big thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll catch you next time.